The one that the cursed goddess of the small sun emitting the aroma of chamomile will save him from the curse. The guy stands and looks at the girl, and in his head he has the idea that this day has finally come, because he has been waiting for it for more than 10 years. The guy asks his assistant if it's really her. Evelyn Diego is the adopted daughter of Count Diego. The assistant answers that it is true and that she is the only young girl in this family. Touching the girl's hair, the boy said that it could mean only one thing, that she is the sun goddess from the prophecy, and added that it was good. After smelling the girl's hair, the boy added that she really smells like daisies. Devon Lanthimos is the Dark Prince of the Empire. Devon ordered to lock her here and added that he would visit her tomorrow. The girl tried to break free and ran after the boy who was already walking so that he would wait. For this, the boy's assistant unexpectedly hit the girl on the back of the head. The girl instantly collapsed. The guy did not have time to understand what he had done. Holding the unconscious girl, the boy said that he really hit her too hard. Finally, today is the day she has been waiting for 10 years, the day when she was kidnapped by the Dark Prince. The woman calls Evelyn and orders her to gather quickly, while a sleek man stands next to her. Evelyn Diego was only 7 years old at that time. She was a little girl. The man and the woman discussed something among themselves, but it was clear that the girl would have a new home, and the woman asked the man to take care of the girl. Of course he agreed. The girl herself was very happy that she would be able to leave here. A little girl was standing next to a man who asked her what her name was, Evelyn Ween, and added that everyone praised her very much and said that she was a very capable girl. Finally, this smooth man added that he was glad to meet her. The girl looked very happy. She blushed, and she replied that she was also happy to make a new acquaintance. Having gone to the new estate, the man said that from now on, her home would be here. The girl was delighted with her new home. She was also surprised that the house was so large. The girl remembers how she lived before, and is very glad that from now on, it is not necessary to live in the temple and constantly eat the same grass with rice. The girl was glad that now no one would spank her sharply. When the carriage stopped, the man got out and very carefully helped her get off the carriage. The girl was very happy that now she will live with a loving father. She looked really very happy, and it was as if all her problems were solved. And the girl was very touched by the fact that she has a home where she can always return. A majestic flag caught the little girl's eye. Evelyn caught herself thinking that she seems to have seen him somewhere before. She is familiar with this pattern. The girl recognized that the sun goddess, the symbol of the Diego clan, was painted on the flag. Suddenly, the girl had a very worried expression on her face and she remembered something. The girl realized that this is the world inside the novel, the same novel that she liked so much that she even bought it in paper version. The cover of the first volume depicted the goddess of the sun, and if the girl's memories are correct, this novel consisted of 3 parts. It described a special divine power that was able to heal curses and cure incurable diseases. Among the characters of the novel was the main heroine named Cordelia. She possessed divine power. The main character grew up in an asylum near the temple, but later she was adopted by Count Diego, who abused her and used Cordelia's powers for his own purposes. But, as is customary in most novels, she was able to overcome all difficulties and meet her love. She lived happily with the main character of the novel. But the girl understood that her role in this story is a minor character who briefly appears at the very beginning. Having hit the girl, the man calls her name and asks her why. Why can't she use her abilities? Evelyn Diego was 15 years old, and she was in a dungeon. The man angrily shouted at her, saying that he was told that she has great power. That's why he paid a lot of money to bring her here. He called it a waste of money. At this time, the girl looks at him and thinks that she is sorry because it was because of him that she spent all her strength and died according to the plot, even before she turned 13 years old. Evelyn spent too much energy and eventually died. Divine powers are infinite, so if you spend them before they have time to recover, you can die. After the death of Evelyn, the Count adopted Cordelia. While Evelyn was only a demonstration of divine power, sitting in her prison, the girl begins to laugh. Madness appears on her face, and she continues to laugh. The girl was amused by the fact that having the same abilities, someone dies and someone lives. However, she was still alive. She survived because she did not use divine power. The girl promises herself that she will definitely survive, and while she is alive, the Count will not adopt Cordelia. And the prince, as was said in the prophecy, kidnapped a young girl from the family of Count Diego. The girl understands that she will be the victim of his abduction. Sitting on her knees, she says that she will get out of here and gain freedom. The Count's beatings and abuse did not end. Despite this, she steadfastly endured and held on. But once, the man held a small puppy in his hand and turned to the girl, saying that if she did not use force, he would kill the puppy. The girl used magic to save this little puppy. But the Count did not keep his promise and killed the puppy. The girl apologized, saying that it was all her fault, it was all because of her. The beaten and exhausted girl was sitting on the floor leaning on the wall behind her. At that time, a guy named Killian Diego entered the room. He was the son of Count Diego. He was very worried about the girl's condition. Holding the girl, he turned to her and said that he tried to come to mine like before and apologized for being so late. He turned to her and reassured her, saying that he would get her out of here. The girl had an indifferent look and did not answer him, but she remembered that when she first found herself in this house, there were already traces of torture and abuse in the basement. Standing there, the girl felt that someone was standing behind her. The girl turned to see who it was. She didn't know what to expect. And seeing that Killian was standing there, she assumed that maybe it was him being bullied. The guy took the girl to the room, put her on the bed, and he himself stood on his knees. He looked at the wounds on her legs, holding her fragile leg. He asked her if she was in a lot of pain, and Killian added that he had already called a doctor for her. The guy turned to the girl and asked if he could help her in any way, to which the girl smiled and asked him to help. The girl slowly raised her leg and brought it to the boy. Putting her leg on Killian's shoulder, she answered him that he can help her only if he kills the Count, and she added that this is all she wants. This is the only way out for her. The boy froze and did not know what to answer her because he could not do it. The girl understood that he could not help her in any way, but if he had not asked, she would have had no hope. The girl called her brother, and he looked at her with surprise. Hugging her brother to her and hugging him, the girl said that she had one small request for him and asked him to get a gold ornament for her. Smiling, she added that she understands that it will be difficult to get it, but she definitely wants to wear it to the debutante ball. The boy blushed. He did not know what to answer her while the girl tried to persuade him. The weather was beautiful on the street. Sunlight filled the majestic garden with a fountain. Evelyn turned 18 years old. She was having tea with other processes when they noticed that she had something on her face. The princesses said that there was a scratch on her precious face. The girl replied that she fell because of her carelessness. She was surprised that they believed her so easily, and at that time the girl thought that they were frivolous. This is probably because they grew up in greenhouse conditions, and I wondered if they really believed that such a wound appears from a fall. The girl turned to a familiar voice, her brother Killian called her, while the princesses excitedly discussed the new guest. Killian Diego became the captain worthy of the princess, handing the box to the girl. He said that he got what she asked him for. The girl quickly opened a small blue box and took out a decoration, but it turned out that although this medallion looks like an ordinary decoration, it is actually a magical tool that emits a floral aroma. The girl needs this item to pretend to be the main character. She added that it must have been difficult to get and thanked her brother. The girl understood that her plan would come true if she only had to wait for the debutante ball. Another princess, looking at this couple, added that they look very friendly, and that they envy them. Evelyn turned her gaze to her brother and thought that everything is true to those around her. That's exactly how it looks. He is Killian, handsome, charming, and also a captain worthy of a princess. It seems to be a day to dream. One of the princesses dared to turn to Killian, saying that the ball will be held very soon debutante, and added asking what type of girls he likes. The boy was afraid of misunderstanding them, so he asked if they meant his ideal, and he answered that he likes girls with blonde hair and eyes as blue as the sea. While describing this ideal, the boy looked exactly at Evelyn. It seemed as if he knew exactly what he wanted. The princesses continued the social conversation by asking him who will be his companion at this ball. While the girl was adding sugar to her tea, she was living the dream that very soon she would leave this place. She considered it not just a dream, it was a necessity. While stirring her tea, the girl realized that she still hadn't chosen a dress for the ball. The Dark Prince is blinded due to a curse. The goddess of the small sun, from whom the aroma of chamomile was wafting, will be able to cure the boy from the curse. Hearing this prophecy, he kidnapped Cordelia. Goddess of the sun, it seems that nothing is impossible. The princess interrupted the girl's thoughts by asking what Evelyn would say about it. The girl was a little confused because she did not listen to them, but later she replied that she was also very much looking forward to this day. The ball of the debutantes was approaching, and it was then that everything was supposed to happen. Killian went to the girl and started knocking on her door asking if he could come in. Not hearing an answer from her, he entered the room and began to ask her if she had already chosen a partner. But even before finishing his question, he was suddenly very surprised. The girl's room turned out to be completely empty, and only the window brought fresh air inside. The girl woke up and immediately grabbed her head, which hurt a lot, and she tried to sit down and come to her senses. Besides, she does not understand where she is at all. But later she manages to find out that she is in the prince's estate. The girl was very surprised that she was kidnapped. A guy entered the room. His face was disfigured, all covered in scars. He returned to the girl and said that he apologizes for addressing her, but the prince is waiting for her. The girl had the idea that someone was here. The girl immediately remembered this guy, while he told her that he forgot to introduce himself to her and went on to say that his name was Karen Weibo and added that he was in the service of the prince. The girl remembers that she has already heard this voice somewhere. The girl remembered that it was the guy who hit her. While the girl was looking at him, he asked if he had something on his face because the girl was openly talking about him. The girl said to him that it turns out that he hit her then. The guy laughed and told her that it was his fault. She asked if something had changed now and he stopped being guilty, and the guy only apologized to her. The prince's palace was really luxurious and very large. There were red carpets everywhere. And although the interior was in dark colors, the estate was filled with light. Following Karen, Evelyn noticed that the estate was very quiet, and the servants were not many, if not many, for such a large palace. While the girl was puzzling over how there could be such silence in such a large estate, the boy asked her if she knew about the prince's situation. The girl replied that of course she knows this story because everyone knows about it. The guy turned to the girl and said that there must be some stupid rumors about the guy. And then he added that as she herself knows, the heir of the emperor is chosen by the oracle, and the one who is not chosen receives a curse. The boy continued his story, but the girl interrupted him, preventing him from finishing, and she said that this is exactly why the prince wants to take revenge, for the sake of which he contacted the darkness. The girl added that there are indeed many rumors about him. The assistant laughed and noticed that the girl was right when she said that it was so. But the prince is not such a bad person if you get to know him more closely. Although they brought her here in a not very pleasant way, you should not be too afraid of them. The girl looked at him with a stony face and with complete indifference did not answer him a word. Sitting at the table, the boy turned to the young girl, saying that he had heard a prophecy and that she could remove the curse from him. So he decided to go straight to business. Devon asked her if she could heal him, but the girl did not answer a word. After all, she thinks that you need to think carefully before concluding an agreement. The girl answered him that she could do it. She looked very composed and serious, and she added that despite this, she has a condition. She needs money in order to escape from the empire. The boy was surprised that the goddess was asking for money for healing. He did not think that she was so selfish. But the guy added that among the many rumors there is one very strange one. And he added that they say that the supposedly adopted daughter of Count Diego cannot use her divine powers. And he continued by asking if this does not concern her. The girl was noticeably nervous because she did not know what to answer him, but she needed to gather herself in order not to betray herself. The girl succeeded, and she calmly answered him that she did not use them on purpose, and added that it was not so important. The girl added that if he does not accept her conditions, she will consider that there was no conversation about healing. The guy was dissatisfied and told her that it was so easy to not solve this issue, and asked if she still didn't understand the situation she was in. Evelyn replied that she had heard many rumors about him. They say that he is a cruel person. And the girl continued that if he had not threatened her, if he had not tortured her, she would still use her powers as she wanted. And she continued by asking who, in such a case, would remain among the fools. The prince agreed to do as she wanted and added that he only needed her to remove the curse from him. The guy had already started to get up from his seat and added that, just as she herself remembered, he has a terrible character. And he can't stand lies if it turns out that she cheated on him at least in some way. Then she will need to pray so that she can live a long life. At this time, the girl silently looked at him. Going to her room, the girl thinks that everything went smoothly, and she can breathe a sigh of relief. When the girl suddenly hears that a girl is addressing her, she turns her gaze in surprise. In front of her stood a girl who greeted her and said her name was Hilda. She added that she would serve her. The girl bowed to Evelina and added that today was her first day in this place, continuing by saying that she would try. The maid asked the girl if she was going to her room and offered to help her take a bath. The girl answered her that it was not necessary and that she would like to walk a little. The girl continued by saying that in this case she will guide her, because this is her first job, while the girl thinks that it is necessary to check all the moves for escape just in case. The girl asked Hilda that she allegedly said that it was her first day here, so how did she know where to go? But she answered that she had already walked around the estate and checked everything. At this time, such thoughts came to the prince that there is something strange here. Dvoretsky asked him what exactly he meant. He continued that the seal of the Count's clan symbolizes the goddess of the sun, and that girl smelled of chamomile. All the clues from the prophecy pointed to her, but for some reason he had the feeling that he was missing something. The butler silently listened to him. The boy wondered what was the cause of these feelings, which he found strange. Evelina was walking with Hilda through a large, beautiful garden. The girl asked her how she ended up here, and the maid answered her that she heard that they were looking for a maid in the prince's estate, although no one had worked here before. The girl understood that there were not just a few servants here, she was not there at all. The maid began to say quite loudly that she could be sure that she would not tell anyone anything, while Evelina did not understand what was being said and asked her about it. Hilda said that she understands everything, that she was not given in marriage to the prince. The girl worriedly asked her what she had just said. The maid began to apologize to her, and she added that they say that the prince is a very cruel person. That's why he still hasn't married and forced her to marry. The girl was devastated because she did not understand where such rumors came from. The maid asked her mistress if the prince was really so cruel. The girl didn't even know what to answer because she only saw him for a very short period of time. But she missed that it could be true, judging by the way he behaved. The girl woke up in her room and did not even understand how she fell asleep yesterday. At this time, Hilda burst into the room and began to show the kitchen while the girl tried to wake up. Suddenly, she heard someone knocking on her door, and soon it turned out that it was the butler who said that he came for her. He took her to breakfast with the prince, but the girl did not even put herself in the proper shape. The girl said to him that breakfast is of course good, but first she needs to wash herself. While eating his breakfast, the guy said that there is no difference between washing and not washing and asked her to just sit down and eat. The girl thought that he couldn't see anything anyway, and therefore allowed herself to sit down at the table in this way. Yesterday, the girl noticed that there were very few servants in the house, so she decided to ask Prince Devon about it, to which he answered her that there is one, and besides he gave her a personal maid. The girl replied that everything suits her, and she has no regrets in any way, but she asked if it was normal for them that there was no one here except the butler. Princip answered her that one way or another he does not like when there are many people, because the more there are, the more difficult it is to remember the sounds of their steps. The girl caught herself thinking that maybe she said something too much. The guy asked her if she could start the treatment tonight. The girl had already managed to forget about the treatment, but reassured herself that she had enough divine power and could completely heal him. And she answered that this is how they can start today, thinking that it is necessary to cure him as soon as possible and get out of the affair. Walking into his living room, the prince hears a voice telling him that it's getting fun, and the voice continued asking how he likes this new girl. The guy covered his face with his hand and asked the voice to shut up. The voice prolonged the conversation by asking him why, because they have known each other for 5 years. Does he still think that he has simply lost his mind? The guy added again that he had already told him to let go of him. Dvoretsky turned to Devon, saying that he brought a girl. This unknown entity felt the presence of the girl and the butler. The guy was confused and asked the girl why she sat down here. Why did the girl answer him that in order to carry out the treatment she needed to be as close as possible? The girl put her hands on his and started treating him. The girl continued that before healing him, it is necessary to make a space that can contain the divine power, so today she will simply transfer her powers to him. The guy was surprised and asked her to create space. The girl added that it would be a little inconvenient, but he had to put up with the fact that the boy responded by agreeing. And finally, the girl began to pour her divine powers into him. But there is one detail that made her wonder if Devon really can't see. After all, the novel described the fact that he constantly fought everywhere and was extremely sensitive. But the girl noticed it yesterday and just now as if he saw everything. The girl was visibly getting worse and the boy tried to reach her. The girl seemed to be losing strength. The boy asked her what was wrong with her. Being unable to answer, the girl wondered what was wrong with her, and that this had never happened to her before. The boy asked her if she was okay, and the girl still thought that she had never felt so bad when using force. The girl was frightened and told him that everything was not right with her. As if in a dream, the girl hears that someone has greeted her and asks who it is, and she is also interested in where she is. A voice told her that she needn't try to figure it out. The girl was shocked and wondered if he was reading her thoughts. The voice replied that it was not only thoughts and simply laughed. The girl was very interested in who he was, but this voice did not have time to answer her. When she woke up in her room, the girl was very scared. Looking at her hand, she asks if it was a dream. She felt as if she had been beaten again. She saw that Hilda was standing next to her and asked if she was okay. The girl replies that she is fine and asks the maid to tell her. But without agreeing, she catches herself thinking that it turns out it was a dream. But what was in that dream is what interested her. The girl mentions His Majesty and asks about his treatment, how everything went. The maid told her that she had heard that after the treatment the landlady lost consciousness and the girl was very scared for her. At this time, Evelina sighed with relief because everything was fine with the prince. Sitting in bed, the girl wondered why she lost consciousness. Maybe it's because she hasn't used divine powers for a long time, but the girl herself knows little about the side effects of the fact that she rarely uses divine powers. At this time, the maid runs around her and asks if she needs anything. The girl began to get out of bed, thinking that she must have exerted herself up to her shoulders, and she thinks that in a few days she will definitely be able to heal his eyes. The maid persuades the owner to lie down a little more. The maid turned to the hostess, saying that she heard that they were looking for her in the temple. The girl would by no means return to the place from where she was abducted, so she was very worried that they were looking for her. The girl burst into Devon's office. He was clearly not expecting guests. The girl kindly introduced herself, saying that she was Evelyn. The boy answered her that he already knows because she is the only one in this house who walks so loudly. The girl came to ask something. Clearly something really bothered her. The prince coldly answered her that she could ask about it at dinner. The girl saw the magic tool and wondered if he was talking to someone. Having said that you can't do anything, you will have to wait. The girl sat down on a chair, and she added that if she doesn't find the reason why it snowed yesterday, no one guarantees that something like this won't happen again the next time. The girl saw a majestic sword standing on a shelf in the office. It was clear that the girl was very interested in him, and she started getting up to approach him. The girl began to think whether she could test her divine powers with this, and asked the boy if she could touch it. The prince looked as if he did not listen to the girl at all, and silently did not answer anything. The girl decided that if he is silent, it means that he does not mind, and took the sword in her hands. The girl took it and cut her palm. The sword turned out to be very sharp, but the girl was not hurt. She was used to it. Blood flowed from the girl's hand. She stained the dress and the floor. He smelled it, and since he can't see, he was very interested in what was happening there. He broke away from his magical tool, rose to his feet, and began to scream angrily, asking what was happening here. He approached the girl and asked what she had done. While the girl was sitting on the floor, the boy firmly grabbed the girl by her injured hand, told her that he smelled blood. He looked worried. The girl answered him that she did not want to tile the floor. The prince was surprised that she was worried only about this, and he told her that next time she should just ask him. The girl looked at him and did not understand what exactly she should ask him. The guy leaning her against the wall said that if she wants to cut off her limb, he can do it without pain. But if she planned to threaten him, she chose the wrong target. The girl held out her wounded hand to him and said that she thought he misunderstood everything. The girl added that she just wanted to test her divine powers. The guy did not understand how it was connected, but the girl continued that she had questions about their treatment yesterday. The wound disappeared from the palm. The girl realized that there was no problem with her skills, but she did not understand why she lost consciousness yesterday. The boy asked her what a terrible way to test her strength. The girl apologized to him if he was uncomfortable and added that she wanted to ask him something. The guy listened carefully to her and asked what exactly she was interested in. The girl continued that the maid told her that they were looking for people in the temple. The boy interrupted her, apologized, and added that he cannot let her go until she cures his curse. The girl was indignant and did not understand what it means to let go, and the prince, in turn, asked her if she did not mean for him to let her go. The girl was very worried, ran up to him and began to tell him that under no circumstances should he send her there, and asked him what he thought. In the temple, she had not yet guessed that she was here. The guy replied that he didn't think so, and added that he was wondering why she didn't want him to send her to the temple. The girl replied that simply if it turned out that way, then she wants to heal him and then take a big piece of her. She decided that this was the best explanation for such a situation. While the temple had a perfect image in the empire, the girl understood that even if she told what she had to experience there, no one would believe her. About the fact that they force children with healing skills to work continuously, and then something terrible happens to them. The girl knew that no one knew about this side of the temple, except them, those who were sacrificed. The girl returned to the prince and said that no matter what, she made a deal with him, and she would do everything to remove the curse from him. She continued that, for this he would help her leave the empire. And that is why the girl added that no one should know that she is here, no matter who it is. The girl went to the toilet to wash her bloody hands. At that time, Evelina noticed that the prince was following her and decided to ask him why he was following her, because she just went to wash her hands. The guy answered her that he was worried if she didn't do anything else. While the girl was trying to wash off the blood, the guy asked her if she was used to pain. Realizing that the boy understood what was happening here, the girl tried to hide the truth, so she asked if this was possible. Prince Devon asked her not to do such frivolous pranks anymore because he doesn't want the smell of blood in the house either. The girl replied that it is good then she will do it in the bathroom next time. The boy answered her that it was not necessary. Sitting at the table, the boy asked her what was the reason why the always quiet temple suddenly became so noisy. He continued by asking how she even knew about it. She replied that her maid Hilda had told her, and she thought that maids are the best information channel. The guy continues the conversation by saying whether she heard rumors that some girl is sick in the temple. It was when the girl also started eating that the guy started to mention the name of the sick girl. Finally, the boy remembered what her name was and said that her name seemed to be Cordelia. The girl's face suddenly changed. She was very shocked. The guy felt it and asked what was wrong with her. The girl herself could not believe that she had put so much effort into keeping Cordelia from entering the temple, but it was all in vain. Cordelia is the real main character of this novel. Noticing how pale the girl turned, the butler turned to her. Noticing this, he drew the girl's attention. The guy continued by asking if the girl knew this name. Despite the fact that the girl knew well who this girl was, she decided to answer that she did not know her and that she was hearing her name for the first time. Returning to her room, the girl realizes that she took away her role from Cordelia. That's why she is still in the temple, and she continues to be mocked. Therefore, most likely her strength is at the limit. In order to help recover those who have a strong power, a person with a similar level is needed, and Evelyn is more suitable for this than anyone else. Maybe they want to use her as a guinea pig, and although Cordelia is much stronger than Evelyn, people like her will not be spared in the temple. The girl believed that she managed to change the plot of the novel, but it seems that she could not escape from fate. The girl understood that she could not just sit and wait for her to be caught. She had to do something. Evelyn asked Cordelia for forgiveness and said that she would leave her the main character, Devon, and apologized once again, because she just wanted to live. The girl entered the room where Prince Devon and his assistant Karen were sitting. They were very surprised by the appearance of the girl. After all, the girl looked really terrible. She had dark circles under her eyes, and in general, she looked very exhausted. The prince was surprised by his assistant's comment and asked the girl personally what had happened to her. The girl replied that it was nothing special, but in her head, she was thinking about which option she should choose so that no one would suspect anything. The girl decided that the best option would be to say that she misses home very much. The assistant was very surprised by the girl's answer. Karen decided that it was time for him to go and said goodbye to everyone present. The girl sat down next to the prince to begin his treatment. The guy started the conversation by saying that he heard that the girl was very close to her brother. At that time, the girl was wondering why he started talking about Killian. The girl answered him that it was better to get treatment because it was already quite late. The girl continued by saying that today she would try to pour divine power into his entire body. The guy asked her if she was sure and added asking if everything would be okay. The girl replied that he had nothing to worry about, that it was safe. And the guy replied that he was accepted not about himself, but about her. After all, he can't help but worry after she lost consciousness in his arms yesterday. The girl replied that it was most likely because she had not used her strength for a long time, and added that now everything is normal. The girl had already removed the curse in the barbarian, so there should not be any problems. It's just that she was not in the best shape that time. The girl sat and thought that she had enough divine power. It's just that she hasn't used it for a long time. At this time, she hears this strange voice again, which she dreamed about earlier. The girl was quite surprised to hear him during the treatment of the prince. The girl immediately jumped away from him, taking her hand away, while the boy did not understand what was happening. Excitedly, he asked her what happened to her. He does not understand such behavior from the chosen one. At this time, the girl began to understand what was really happening. Earlier, she thought that it was all because she had not used the force for a long time, but she was very wrong. She didn't know if it was a curse there, but the girl was sure of one thing, that there was something in her right eye. It was different from the story of the novel that the girl knew. The guy turned to her, saying that she should probably know about the curse. The guy moved closer to the girl. It was all too strange. The boy asked her what was the real reason for her loss of consciousness during healing, why she had not used her powers until now. He put his hand on the girl's chin and asked her what she was so afraid of now, and he added that if she really is the virgin from the prophecy, then she should not be afraid of the curse. The girl understood that Devon was beginning to suspect her, whether she was the same virgin from the prophecy. There is no one in the Empire who does not know about Devon's curse. This curse was sent by the deity as a sign that the oracle did not choose him as the next emperor. The deity sends a curse so that whoever is not chosen cannot take revenge or start a rebellion against the ruler. All their lives, they are looking for someone who can remove their curse, and when they finally find it, they just live their lives. The prophecy concerning Devon and the goddess of the sun is known only to the prince himself and Evelyn, so he has not had any questions so far. The girl understood that she could not lose consciousness again, otherwise he would doubt her even more. But her consciousness was clouded against her will. She could not do anything. The girl had already begun to think about not changing the plot of the book and running away from here because she felt guilty before Cordelia. After Killian entered the service of the imperial palace, he, unlike her, could travel freely and escape from the county. The girl thought that he had collected a sufficient amount of funds during this time of his service, and that he might be able to help her financially. The girl decided to turn to her brother for help. He asked her if she needed money. He looked the same, but there was such a feeling as if something had changed in him. The guy put his strong hand on the girl's shoulder and called her name. He added that if she will be in the county all the time, then she has nothing to spend money on. The girl understood that she was wrong. In relations with Killian, she was by no means the first place. Although at first glance it seemed as if he was listening to her, she was only part of the situation for him. The girl understood that Killian would not allow her to leave the county under any circumstances. The girl began to remove Killian's hand from her shoulder and added that it's good if he doesn't want to. He cannot give her money. The girl understood that the only way out for her was Devon. He had to kidnap her. Then she would be able to escape from here. For her, it was the last way to stay alive, because she knew that if she stayed here, she would have a sad end. The girl made a ridiculous plan and tried to escape, but she was caught, and to her surprise it was not the Count, it was Killian. The girl woke up and did not understand what a strange, disgusting dream it was. At this time, the girl hears the boy addressing her, asking if she is going to come up with an excuse again. Prince Devon was sitting by her bed and added, saying that if so, they will listen well. Even before turning to the prince, the girl replied that with her divine power, she would quickly be able to heal him from the curse. But despite the curse, he still has something. The girl thought that she had enough divine power and that the problem was not in the right eye, where there was something incomprehensible. However, the girl was very surprised that this was not in the novel. The girl added that tonight she will make his left eye see. The guy was surprised by the girl's conclusion and asked her. The girl answered him that she means that she will treat him gradually, and she herself does not know what is wrong with the right eye, but she will be able to cure the left eye. The girl understood that this was her last attempt to assure Devon that she was a virgin from the prophecy. The girl quickly ran along with her maid Hilda. She was pulling the maid by the hand because she had to go for a walk. The girl understood that if he had already begun to suspect her, she could not just sit in the room with her hands folded. She needed to find a way out as soon as possible. The girl asked the maid if this was the main way out, to which the maid replied that her hand would be torn off because the girl was pulling her too hard. The girl scolded her that she said she would show her everything, but now she is making her wait, to which the maid replied that maids have a lot of work. Approaching the gate, the girl caught herself thinking that she was in this place for the first time. The guard standing at the main gate told her that she could not go any further. The girl asked if this was an order from the prince, and the boy standing on guard told her that it was not, but still. The girl understood that she needed to adhere to the agreement they made with Prince Devon. The girl was very surprised to see Sir Wibbo. The boy greeted the girl. She greeted him back. Evelyn added that he appeared so unexpectedly as if he was watching her, and the boy, scratching the back of his head, answered her that it was really so noticeable. The girl came closer to Karen and said that she would like to take a walk outside the gate. The girl folded her hands, made the cutest facial expression, and asked if she could do it with him. The boy was very shy and stutteringly answered her that he needed the prince's permission for this walk. Sir Wibbo called to one of the guards stationed at the gate. He ordered him to go and ask permission. Of course he agreed and went to carry out the order. The girl thanked the boy and asked if she could call him by his name. The boy replied that of course she can call him whatever she likes. The girl touched him and said that in this case, he can also call her by her name. The guy answered her that he can't do that, but the girl added that there is nothing wrong with that. The boy called her Miss Evelyn and remarked that it was already too much for him. The guy added that you shouldn't joke about the knights like that. Evelyn began to laugh and answered him that it was really so noticeable. The knight who received the order returned and reported that His Majesty had given permission only if Sir Karen would accompany the girl. The girl turned to her maid and order her something, but it turned out that the girl has not been around for a long time. Evelyn was very surprised by such a sudden disappearance of the maid, but she decided that she had already returned to the palace. Karen asked her if she was looking for something. The girl answered that no, and they could go. Once outside the castle, the girl learned that it was surrounded by a river, and one could only get outside by using a bridge. The girl noted that compared to the size of the castle itself, there were not so many guards. But the problem was only he, Karen Wibbo. The girl knew that his family was quite a famous knightly clan, and most likely he was a very capable knight. The girl understood that if she tried to run away, Karen would immediately grab her. The girl asked if he had ever been outside the Empire. He answered that he had been on military campaigns several times, because before going here, he served in the Border Knight Order. The girl added that it was very exciting, but unlike him, she hardly managed to go outside the county. She said that they supposedly say that there is a beautiful place in the north called Elion. She asked him if he had been there. The girl accidentally read about Elion in a book when she was looking for a place to escape. The girl hoped that she would be able to get some information about him. He answered the girl that of course he had been there and added that it snows all year round in Elion. It's beautiful there, but it's hard to live there. Evelyn said that it must be difficult to move when there is a lot of snow around. The boy replied that it is so difficult even on a horse or in a carriage. He added that when he was there, he even tried to ride a sled a little, and added that although he is athletic, it was very difficult even for him. And he continued by saying that he was a little embarrassed to talk about it, but at that time he was quite famous. The guy continued to tell. It seemed to her as if he decided to tell about his whole life, but thanks to Karen's endless chatter, she made sure that Elion was just right for staying there. Karen and Evelyn were walking in the garden. The garden looked extremely beautiful. The girl remarked that it must be very well taken care of. At this time, Karen began to laugh, which surprised the girl. The guy apologized to her and said that it probably looks a little unexpected, but the prince has absolutely no desire for elegance. Even his office is filled very simply. Wibbo added that if the girl had seen the garden in its former form, she would not have said such words. The boy added that this garden is a merit of the soldiers because they had nothing to do. That's why such a hobby appeared. She asked, saying that it looks like they didn't have any problems at that time. He replied that it is still a suburb, and added that besides, His Majesty is not interested in the throne and politics. The girl noticed that it was true, and after a personal acquaintance, it seemed to her that, contrary to rumors, he has absolutely no interest in palace affairs. She understood that he just wanted to remove the curse and continue to live in this estate. Evelyn knew that Devon just wanted to live his quiet life, and it even reminded her a little of herself. But the main character and the secondary character cannot be alike. Suddenly, the girl stopped herself and asked what is wrong with her, who should take care of whom. The girl again sat in the prince's living room to cure him. The guy asked her if she was confident in her abilities. The girl persistently answered him that she was confident in her abilities, but mentally she did not have such confidence at all. The girl added that she might lose consciousness again, so she hoped for his understanding. The guy answered her that only if she is responsible for the result. But the girl knew that she could not answer, but this was her last attempt. The girl began to transfer her divine powers to him. Everything was fine. And she transferred divine power to him through her left hand, and she did not have that strange feeling. The girl thought that she had found the answer, and now she was sure. But the same aura that she felt before appeared again. It is as if she is about to capture her divine power. It is some kind of incomprehensible dark energy. The girl prayed that she would have time to finish everything before it could happen. She needed a little more time. The girl took her hand away while the boy waited for her conclusions, what she would say. The girl replied that she finished. It was quite difficult for her, but she managed. The guy asked her while she was very tired and exhaled with relief. The girl said that if he does not trust her, then he can call the doctor and check. And she added that he should not open his eyes right away, because harsh light can be dangerous for him. The girl added that as she promised, she lifted the curse, and now he must keep his promise. Touching his bandage, he could not believe that finally this horror was over and answered her well. The prince asked her if money would suit her or if she still wanted precious stones. The girl was unsure about money. After all, she did not know how much she might need to leave the empire. She replied that it would be better if the prince did, as it would be more convenient for him. The boy asked her how she looked. The girl was very surprised by such a question. The girl asked him why it was not expected. At that time, the boy called his butler, and he began to describe the young housewife to him. He said that her green-yellow hair looks like flower petals, and her eyes are blue like the sea, and it feels like stars are twinkling in her eyes. The guy asked again that she just had blonde hair and blue eyes. Dvoretsky answered him that everything is true. The boy added that lapis lazuli would fit here. After his mother, he got a brooch with lapis lazuli, and he asks to bring it. The boy turned to the girl and said that his mother had left him this brooch. The arrow is a symbol of the imperial family. The girl did not believe that such a precious gift was for her. The boy asked the butler if she thought this ornament would suit her. He replied that this brooch fits her eyes perfectly. The girl remarked that this gift looked very expensive. The guy said that he would give her some gold so that she would take it with her when she left. The girl understood that this could not be a treasure of the imperial family because such treasures are priceless. But in the end, it will be possible to extract the stones and sell them separately. The maid entered the girl's room when she was sitting on the bed with a bag of money and asked her what kind of money it was, to which Evelina answered with a question and asked how much it was. The maid said that the family would be able to live with this money for about 3 months. The girl asked how many people were in her family, and the girl first answered that there were 3, then she counted and realized that there were 4. And she answered that there are definitely 4 with her. And Evelyn also thought that sometimes when she looks at Hilda, she also seems very unusual to her. She did not understand how it is possible to get confused and forget how many people are in your family. The amount on which an ordinary Christian family can live for 3 months was enough. Evelina asked Hilda to prepare a bath for her. The girl happily agreed. The girl sat on the bed and wondered if she could heal Devon's right eye, but she did not know when they would come for her from the temple. The girl decided that it would be better to go to Elian now while Devon still trusts her. But the girl was also interested in what would happen if she did not remove the curse completely and what would happen to his eyes. Suddenly, the girl noticed that her door was open. She was confused by this. She went to close the door and scolded Hilda because she forgot to close the door again. And seeing that the corridor was empty, she called her maid Hilda. The girl was surprised that she had already managed to disappear so quickly. Having closed the door, the girl was excited because she did not remember whether there were any sounds of Hilda's steps. When Evelina was walking through the garden with Karen, she noticed a wall that she thought would be easy to climb down. Judging by the rising smoke and the location, it was most likely a kitchen. Having entered there, girl saw one of the main cooks, who was giving out orders to everyone and shouting at everyone that they were working very slowly. She started shouting at the girl that she did not tell her to go to the pantry. But later she realized that it was not one of her subordinates standing in front of her. She greeted the young hostess, while the girl thinks that she just needs to check the way, which may become one of the escape options. Evelina said that she just decided to see the castle and asked if they would mind. The woman replied that of course she didn't mind, and added that she could watch as much as she wanted. Evelina noticed that there are quite a lot of people here, and replied that His Majesty is a real gourmet, so he always has a lot of servants in the kitchen. The girl was shocked and asked what kind of food he likes, at which the cook's eyes lit up and she covered her face with her hand. The girl did not understand what kind of reaction it was. Kuhavka very proactively began to tell that she, as a future housewife, is probably interested in this, and told that the prince prefers fresh salads and lightly fried meat, and added that she can ask her as much as she wants. She drew attention to the open door and asked if it was always open. The cook replied that they don't always finish their work at 11 o'clock in the evening, after which they close the kitchen. Even said that it turns out that if she gets hungry, she won't be able to get in here like that. The cook laughed and said that she could always turn to the butler, and she added that he has almost all the keys to this castle. The girl was surprised, but understood that the butler was watching and thought that in such a case it would not be so easy to go down the wall. The maid asked if the girl was interested in anything else. The girl thanked her for the fact that she learned a lot. The cook said that she was glad to be useful to her. She looked out the window and thought that if she didn't die, she would be fine, she would handle it. Walking through the corridors of the castle, the girl thought that she had checked almost all options for escape. If she is lucky and you can heal her right eye, she will simply take the money and leave here. But if luck is not on her side, she will have to run away from here. The girl was so deep in thought that she didn't notice the prince she bumped into. The young girl was very surprised to see Devon here. She did not expect it. She had not seen him near the kitchen before. She was interested in what he was doing here. The girl quickly flew down, but she was lucky, and Devon caught her hand and she did not have time to fall. The guy asked who it was that didn't even look ahead while walking around his house. The girl politely apologized to him and said that she thought about it. The prince was also surprised to see Evelyn here. He asked if it was her. The guy added that it was good that he met her. He just wanted to talk to her. The girl did not know what he might need from her. Devon remembered that he forgot to tell her something yesterday and was just going to go to her. He added that her brother Killian Diego asked him for an audience. The girl was shocked by such a sudden appearance of her brother. She did not expect him here at all. The prince said that he could not know that she was here. Most likely this is not related to her, and he added that he heard that she is quite close to her brother, so if she wants, he can let her look at him from afar. The girl was not joking because she thought that Killian was coming here to catch her, but she did not understand how he could know that she was here. She asked the prince why. The boy answered by asking what it meant, and added that he still brought her here without telling anyone, but the girl answered him that she was not about that. Evelyn asked him for what purpose her brother could ask for an audience with Prince Devon. The boy replied that he is the captain of his sister's guard, so it is not surprising that he decided to pay him a visit. The girl asked if he could refuse him, because he might guess that it was he who kidnapped her. Devon replied that he would very much like to do so, but he cannot do it. After all, if he does not accept Killian, then he may be suspected of preparing an uprising against the crown princess. Evelyn asked, and when I came to Killian, it was very important for her to hear the answer to this question. Prince Devon answered her that he was waiting for his visit tomorrow. There was such a feeling that the girl would now lose consciousness. The boy, sensing this, asked what was wrong with her. The girl exclaimed today and added that she thought it would be better to cure his right eye today. The guy did not understand what she was saying because before that she herself said that the treatment would be gradual. The girl asked him if he also wanted to be cured as soon as possible or not. The guy did not find the right words, so he remained silent, but later he answered her well and added that they would see each other in the evening. Maybe it was Killian's initiative, but she knew one thing, that if they caught her, they would definitely put her back in the dungeon. The girl sat and thought about how to do better. Maybe it would be better to persuade Killian and run away together. The girl instantly changed her mind, because she knew that he would not agree, and even if he did, she did not want to live with him until death. Finally, the girl chose the right option. She needs to leave here before he appears here. But the girl wondered if she could distract Karen and run away unnoticed. After all, a knight like him can easily detain her and break her arms and legs. The girl had a clear plan. She needs to steal the keys from the kitchen, lean out of the window, climb down the wall, climb over the fence, cross the bridge, and then go to the border. The girl did not know if she would succeed, but she hoped for the best. It was a beautiful evening. The sun was very gentle. It sat quietly and calmed the girl. The maid stood behind the girl and asked if her mistress liked daisies. The girl realized that she did not notice how the maid came and decided to ask her when she appeared here. Smiling, the girl answered her why she was so surprised by this. Hilda replied that she had previously finished the tasks the girl had given her and had come here. Evelyn realized that she always felt some strange feeling. The girl began to remember how she met the girl, her words that she was the only servant in this big palace, and who else would serve her. She was interested in when Hilda stopped being afraid of her and stuttering. It seemed strange to the girl that she had come here and in just one day had learned where and what was in this estate. And besides, rumors from the temple reached her so quickly it seemed unreal. And even that situation recently, when the girl disappeared in the corridor, she was interested in how she does it. Evelyn thought about whether she was really an ordinary maid. Everything did not give her peace. The maid turned to the landlady and said that she should not sit here until late at night. Evelyn turned to Hilda and asked why she stopped stuttering and being afraid of her, why she always appeared so suddenly. An evil smile appeared on the girl's face, and she asked her if she misses those times. The maid continued by saying that the girl guessed very quickly. It is not surprising because since childhood she adapted to others. It was a necessity for survival. Evelina was noticeably nervous, and the maid, noticing this, asked what was wrong with her face. Was she really afraid of her? The maid leaned closer to the girl and continued the conversation by saying maybe. She likes the image of Hilda more, and the maid again began to pretend to be someone else. The girl did not understand who she was. She could not understand what was happening. The girl again began to wonder if she would be able to escape, but remembering that Karen was probably watching her somewhere nearby, it would be more logical to call for help. The maid hugged Evelyn and told her not to worry. Touching her golden hair, she added that she was not going to harm her for sure. Leaning closer to the girl, the maid apologized and added that she had no other choice to stay with her and asked to understand her. The maid added that the girl seemed to say that she was going to heal Devon today and said that they would meet there. Continuing, she said that she thought it would be better to erase this situation from her memory. The girl clicked her fingers and added that she might feel a little dizzy now. In a moment, the girl no longer remembered anything and saw in front of her the same simpleton, Hilda, who called her. Evelina asked if she said something, and the girl replied that she asked if she liked daisies. She did not understand why suddenly the camomiles, but in her mind she thought that she had a very bad headache, as if something strange had just happened. The girl was sitting in front of the daisies, looked around and saw that these were hers, the same daisies that the maid asked about. The girl thought that if you look, there are daisies everywhere on the territory of the castle. Maybe they were planted specially. The girl replied that she does not like these flowers very much. Evelina asked Hilda if by any chance they hadn't talked about it before, and the maid asked in surprise what she was talking about. The maid answered that no, and asked if something had happened to her. The girl did not believe her words, but she replied that nothing happened and she just asked. She had such a feeling as if she had forgotten something. The girl came to the prince's room, who was sitting by the window and enjoying the night air. She asked him if he had called a doctor. He replied that, as she said, the curse is no longer there, but it will take several days to start seeing normally. And he turned to her, saying that today she will cure his right eye, after which they will work together to restore his sight. The girl replied that he could sit down and offered to sit by the window today because it is cooler there. The girl turned and said that maybe today's treatment will be a little different. He replied that it doesn't matter. The main thing is that she treat. Ever since she began treating Devon's left eye, he no longer doubted her abilities. The girl finally started treatment. She was going to run away if nothing happened to her right eye. But now that she sees how much the prince trusts her, she feels very guilty. The girl heard a voice that laughed and said that they finally met, and the girl knew that this was not an ordinary curse. She did not know if she would be able to remove it. Such a strong energy, on the contrary, could absorb her divine power. The voice turned to her and said that she would not be able to drive him out and suggested that she surrender. The voice began to beckon her, saying that if she accepted him, he would take away this divine power. And he added that it was because of her that it was so difficult for her, and that she should only breathe from this strength and she would become much calmer. While the girl was listening to this voice and the thought came to her head, maybe everything will be fine if she doesn't have these powers. After all, it was because of them that she was used in the temple and cruelly punished. And in the house of Count Diego, she was constantly tortured, but if she renounces the divine power through which she suffered so much? The voice began to cloud her mind again, asking her why she had to live with so much effort, and added that he just wanted to help her. At this time, Prince Devon fell to the floor, and an ominous aura blew around. The girl also felt very relaxed, and she wondered what would happen to her if her abilities disappeared. The girl also wondered why she was trying so desperately to stay alive. She remembers Count Diego asking her why she doesn't use force and that she is a lost girl. Her brother Killian, who told her that she doesn't need money if she stays at the Count's estate all the time. She remembered talking about Elowen about how it snows there all year round and that it is a beautiful place. The girl was very surprised to see the snow. One of the snowflakes flew right by her eye. She remembered that she had the idea to go to Elowen and start a new life. It was not for nothing that she endured 10 whole years in order to take and throw everything away. The girl knew that she did not want to die because of some incomprehensible entity. She came and sat next to Devon, who was lying on the floor. The girl began to treat him again. At this time, the voice was indignant that she had done this to him and asked her what it meant that she did not want to give up. Then this entity spewed out a large amount of energy, which pushed her away from the prince, and the girl fell to the floor. Lying on the floor, she looked in the direction of the prince and thought that she almost did not feel the divine power inside. She could not believe that she had lost her. It could not be true. She tried to remain conscious for as long as possible, but with every second it became more and more difficult for her to do so. The entity said goodbye to her, saying that they will see each other next time, and adding that at least someone needs these goodbyes. The girl woke up in her room. She was very scared. The first thing that came to her mind was how their treatment yesterday went. She was devastated because nothing worked for her. She understood that she had lost to this black creature, this disgusting entity. But she realized that now is her only chance to escape, and she needs to run away right now. The girl tried to open the door, but as she expected, it was closed. She thought that she needed to go into the butler's room as soon as possible and find the keys. But suddenly, her plans changed. She thinks that it is worth looking for another way to escape. Suddenly, the door, which was closed a second ago, turned out to be open, and the girl freely entered the kitchen. The girl was very surprised by what happened. She could not understand how it happened that the door was closed and suddenly opened. But later she came to the conclusion that maybe she thought the door was closed. She did not know for sure why, but in any case, she had no other choice. It was her only chance to escape, the only chance for a normal, free life. The wall is quite steep, but it turned out to be not as difficult as the girl thought earlier. Evelina remembers that she has never done any exercises in her life, but she thought it was something amazing to walk down the wall very easily. But suddenly the girl's leg slipped and she fell down. Falling down, the girl realized that she had stumbled, and it seemed that everything would end there. But unexpectedly for her, some magical force picked her up and gently lowered her to the ground. She didn't understand what had just happened. She was flying like that. She must have hit hard. She decides to think about it later, and now it was much more important for her to get out of here. But not noticing that she lost her magic locket, she just ran away from there. Having reached the main gate, the girl saw that 2 guards were standing in her way. The girl stood in the bushes and wondered how to get past the guards. Would she have to go down the wall again? She did not know if she would be able to pass unnoticed. But with the power that she just felt, maybe she will be able to distract them with the help of magic. The girl stretched out her hand and began to cast a spell. She really hoped that it might work. But nothing happened, only the birds flew away. The girl started scolding herself that she behaves like this in such a situation where every minute is precious. But suddenly the girl felt this magical energy again. She was sure that she would succeed in everything. Suddenly the girl heard a very loud commotion. She did not understand what was happening. But it helped her because the guards said that an explosion rang out on the other side of the estate. They thought it was an attack. Then the girl realized that all this was not an accident, and she was helped by some unknown force. The girl opened the gate and remembered that this power was similar to a dark aura in Devon's right eye. But she was very worried about the question why it helps, because she tried to get rid of it. Suddenly, the girl saw a barrier in front of her. She did not know whether she would be able to pass through it or not. The girl felt that he was of a rather high level. She understood why the security was of such a level here. But the girl thought that with the strength she has now, she will be able to pass through him. The girl managed to overcome this trap. She could no longer worry about it. But it was still too early to relax because they can come for her at any moment. The girl drew attention to the window in which the light was burning. It was strange because it was night outside. The girl realized that this light was coming from Devon's room. While the wind played with her hair, she asked him for forgiveness. She thought that if everything had gone according to the plot of the novel, he would have met Cordelia and freed himself from the curse, and because of her, their destinies would have changed. Evelina noticed that she had lost her magic locket. At first, she was scared. She did not understand where she could lose him. He was an important thing for her. But later the girl thought that it might not be better, because she has no more reason to smell like daisies for Devon's sake. The girl left the castle and knew that she would never see this place again. Walking away from the castle, the girl hears the pounding of hooves. She cannot understand how such a thing is possible at such a time. To the girl's surprise, it was Killian, and he was heading to the palace from which she had just escaped. The boy asked his knights if it was there. One of them answered that the only thing left was to cross the bridge. The girl did not understand because he was supposed to come tomorrow what he was doing here. At this time, Killian noticed something in the thickets of the forest. He was very interested in it. One of his knights asked if he saw anything there. At this time, the boy carefully examined every little detail. But fortunately, he did not notice Evelyn and replied that it was probably what he thought, and added that he needed to hurry. The girl stood under the moonlight and thanked that Killian did not notice her. She clearly understood that she needed to get out of there, and you need to run away as far as possible. She clearly understood that she could not make such a mistake a second time. The girl walked for a long time, climbing through the thickets of the forest, but it was worth it. Suddenly, the girl stopped and looked very surprised into the distance. She understood that she needed to run away to a place where no one would ever be able to find her. While the prince was coming to himself, he heard voices. One of them asked what the problem was if the curse was lifted. Why doesn't he leave? Or is there absolutely no error in the results? At that time, the guy was lying down and thought that it was too noisy around. He understood that it was Karen's voice. At that time, she answered him that from the point of view of medicine, there are no deviations, and she herself does not know how to explain it. While Karen tried to continue arguing with the doctor, he hears something and turns around. It turned out that the prince had woken up. Everyone immediately began to call him very excitedly. Karen very quickly ran up to her prince and asked if he was okay. He added that it is better for the boy not to get out of bed now, but he replied that he could not sleep in such a mess and asked what happened. The prince recalls that they treated his right eye. He was interested in the result. Everyone standing in the room was too quiet. The guy asked them to explain what happened. They could not decide who would tell the news to the prince, but they decided that the butler should do it, and he began to tell that on the day when his right eye was treated, a lot of time had passed, but there were no orders or instructions from him, and he decided to go to them to the room. The prince interrupted him and asked him to say only what was relevant to the case, adding that there were too many unnecessary details. The butler continued by saying that the two of them were lying on the floor, so he immediately called the doctor and the priest. That, however, even after that they did not come to their senses, and everything turned out to be useless. Devon asked what happened to his curse, and the doctor answered that the priest looked at him and he was completely cured of the curse. He disdainfully turned to the doctor and asked who she was. The doctor replied that although they had not yet met, she was his doctor, and it was a pleasure to meet her. At this time, Karen added that this is not all the news about Evelyn's disappearance. The boy could not believe that she had disappeared. He asks how it happened, because they say that he has completely recovered from the curse. The guy started to answer him that, to be honest, it would be more correct to say that she ran away, not disappeared. The prince asked in surprise because he did not believe that she could run away. The guy continued by saying that it seems that she got into the kitchen and went down the wall of the castle. The prince turned to him, saying that the boy wanted him to believe that the girl who grew up in the count's prosperous family was able to climb down the wall and escape. Karen replied that a window was opened in the kitchen, and traces were found that she had climbed down the wall, then passed through the gate and ran away. The prince asked him what he was doing, because he ordered him to follow her. Karen replied that he was with him. The principal asked what happened to the guard guarding the gate, and there was still a barrier. Karen answered that just at that moment, the guard left his post because of the situation that took place in the garden, and the barrier was broken. The guy asked what he meant by this, that a girl with divine power was able to break the barrier that was created by the strongest magic. Karen replied that they conducted an investigation, and they believed that chance played a big role here. But the prince did not believe in such coincidences, and he asked whether the kitchen door was accidentally open and the guard accidentally left his post, and even that the barrier was accidentally broken. The prince asked the boy if he really wanted him to believe his words and added that then he would have to accidentally punish him. Karen apologized to His Majesty and bowed to him. The guy was very angry that everyone who was responsible for Evelyn did not take care of her, and the girl ran away. Devon said that as soon as he gets back on his feet, the first thing he needs to do is change the security. He also added that Karen seems to have relaxed too much. In turn, he replied that he would accept any punishment. The butler kindly brought something to his master. It turned out that it was the same magical medallion of Evelyn that was found on the day of the girl's disappearance. Taking this medallion in his hands, the boy noticed that it smelled of daisies. Dvoretsky added that it looks like one of the magical items, but it is safe, and added that a more detailed investigation needs the prince's permission. Putting this medallion, the boy said that it is not so important. Dvoretsky dared to ask if the boy was going to leave everything as it is. Devon replied that the girl had lifted his curse and thereby fulfilled her promise. When the prince got up, he felt dizzy in his head. Everyone was very excited about the boy's condition, so they quickly rushed to him. Karen turned to the prince, saying that it would be better for him not to get out of bed yet, so as not to overwork himself. The guy thought that it could be the consequences of the treatment. The prince replied that he just felt a little dizzy, but it was nothing serious. He was interested in when he would be able to see. The doctor replied that if he comes to enhanced vision training, he will be able to see in a few days. And she added that since the boy spent some time unconscious, he needs a sufficient amount of vitamins and nutrients. She continued and said that, of course, all this time the magician supported his condition, but she did not have time to finish how the principal interrupted her. He asked how long he spent unconscious. He was very interested in this question. The doctor was afraid to answer this question because she did not want the prince to be nervous. But when he threatened her and, of course, ordered her to answer, in the end, the butler gave an answer to this question. He replied that the boy lost consciousness about a year ago. There was silence in the room. The boy was incredibly shocked by such a truth. He did not know what to think. Rumors spread everywhere that, in principle, he should soon take off his bandage, and the palace kitchen was no exception. Two cooks are talking to each other. One of them said that she was afraid that the prince would get sick after he heard that he had been lying unconscious for a whole year. The same head cook clapped her hands and said that it was time to gossip. And she added that it is already difficult for the prince, because he has to restore his health and needs to be fed well. The second of the cowgirls asked the main one that if the prince came to his senses, now the mistress would also return. The head cook replied that she did not know, because after the prince lost consciousness, the hostess hid her whereabouts all this time. The cooks talked among themselves and said that they were very much suited to each other and that she was most likely from a good family, because she always ate everything they cooked. They were sure that the prince liked this particular feature of hers. For the first time they saw that everything was eaten clean, and their master is so picky about food. Their employees are recognized even in other estates. The chief of the maids said that she did not have time to talk with them here, because His Majesty was coming down soon and it was necessary to hurry. Dvoretsky asked the prince if he really did not need help, and answered that he just needed to remove the bandage and he could handle it himself. Everyone who was in the room froze in anticipation. Everyone could not believe that this day had finally come. The boy began to remove his bandage. He did it slowly and did not even know what to expect from the outside world. After removing his bandage, he did not dare to open his eyes for some time. Finally, the boy took off his bandage, opened his eyes, and saw this big and beautiful world, which he had not seen for a long time. The guy turned to the doctor, but she didn't even listen to him, but already added that she was also delighted with it. And she added that the days when he suffered from the curse were over. Now she can go home with peace of mind. But later she dared to ask him whether he might have some problems. The boy asked why his right eye could see so vaguely. The doctor was in shock. She tried to say what she saw, but it didn't work right away. Prince Devon's right eye turned from red to black. The boy looked at his reflection and remembered the times when Evelyn was here. He mentioned how Evelyn put forward her conditions and that she needed money to leave the empire, and about the fact that she did not know how to measure money and did not know how much money would be needed in order to go. The guy understood that she wanted to go. Out of anger, he broke the mirror he was looking into, which frightened everyone, and everyone was very worried about his condition. The guy thought that the girl wanted to leave him, but he did not know the real reason and probably will never find out. In the kitchen, as usual, they gossiped, and the main topic was the prince's right eye. They stood and thought that the other servants would also find out. The boy said that all the servants are whispering in the corners, and he thinks that the rumors will quickly reach the capital while they are having a fierce sword fight. Of course, in childhood, the prince was called red-eyed for obvious reasons, because his eyes were as red as roses under the moonlight. But one thing could be said for sure. that everyone would look at him strangely because the Dark Prince has one black eye. The prince wielded the sword very skillfully, so skillfully that even such an experienced knight as Karen was unable to overcome him. The prince very quickly knocked the sword out of the boy's hands, and very soon the boy lost this battle. He added that he couldn't even believe that he was lying in bed just recently. The prince asked if Karen was too weak. The guy replied that it was only according to his standards. While the prince offered his hand to help his friend get up, the boy told him that he had not fought with him for a long time and that he still could not get used to the fact that he had woken up. The prince answered him that indeed, he had the feeling that they had fought very recently. The boy reminded him again that he had been coming for a whole year since the boy lost consciousness. The boy added that he had not woken up for a whole year and that everyone in this castle was very worried about him, and he asked if his eyes were really okay. Raising the sword of his opponent, the prince replied that everything is fine, but his right eye sees a little worse anyway. In everyday life, it does not interfere with him. The boy is very happy that he no longer heard that strange voice and that he did not have to listen to the footsteps of others. Karen asked that if the curse no longer has vision in order, why can't see well in the right eye, and thanked the prince for giving him the sword. The butler ran towards the prince saying that the analysis of the locket was finished. The boy was interested and asked the butler what kind of object it was. Dvoretsky answered him that everything is exactly as he originally thought, and he added that there was a liquid in this locket that smelled of chamomile. The butler began to say that it was not by chance, but the boy did not let him finish and answered that this is exactly what was said in the prophecy. The boy did not know where she could have found out about it, because it was a secret. The boy found out that the girl deliberately deceived him, but he still did not understand the true reason for her actions. He did not understand how she dared to do such a thing to the prince and offered to have another fight. And Karen did not understand why he was already tired. The butler turned to the boy and told him that the rumors about his healing had reached the islands themselves. At that time, the boy answered him that he was already fed up with all this. Dvoretsky continued that, judging by this letter, there was a feeling that they had been waiting for this since he lost consciousness a year ago. The boy asked Dvoretsky to write the answer instead of him, but the butler denied him, saying that if the princess found out about it, he would not hear anything good from her. The boy answered him that she had never appeared here, although he had been lying there unconscious for a whole year. Holding the papers in his hands, the boy noted that it is quite possible that Killian Diego may know where this swindler is. The butler turned to the prince, saying that he thought Evelyn was the mistress. After beating him, the prince said that this is how he understands everything. She knew that she would not be able to heal him completely, so she ran away. And Devon added that, but despite this, it seems to him that there was some other reason for this. At this time, Killian Diego arrived at the prince's palace for an audience. He wondered what he needed from him. Killian greeted the prince and said that he had heard that he had recently come to his senses and thanked him for agreeing to receive him. The prince rummaged through the papers and later asked the boy what he wanted to ask him. Killian congratulated the prince that he had finally gotten rid of this terrible curse, for which the prince thanked him completely indifferently and asked what this had to do with him. Killian was dissatisfied with the answer and asked him if he was looking for the girl who was mentioned in the prophecy, to which the prince replied that he had already asked him what this had to do with him. Killian said that as far as he knew, anyone with divine power could lift the curse regardless of what the prophecy said. It was clear how much this annoyed the prince. He told the boy not to make him repeat himself a third time. Suddenly, the boy saw the locket that he had given his sister for the debutante ball. The boy immediately jumped up, trying to approach him. At this time, the prince thought that he had found these questions about the curse strange from the very beginning. The prince, holding the book in his hands, wondered if he had actually come for Evelina, and later remembered that he had heard that Count Diego's children were very friendly with each other. The prince thought that most likely he is worried about his sister, so he is looking for her everywhere, and most likely he accidentally heard rumors about him and came here. That's what an ordinary person would think. But the boy did not understand how this was possible, while Killian sat covering his face with his hands. The prince did not understand how it was possible to hear about what was happening in this wilderness in a few days, and immediately asked for an audience. The prince turned to Killian, saying that for a person who is the commander of the Knights of the Princess, he does not know the rules of etiquette too well. At this time, Killian, who could not find a place for himself due to grief, asked where she was. The prince pretended that he did not understand what the conversation was about, and decided to ask him to find out what he knew. and confidently asked him where Evelyn was, the boy was sure that the prince must know something about it. Suddenly, the prince standing behind put his sword to the boy's neck and said that he did not allow him to get up. And he added that he didn't let him go. The boy was quite confused. He had, of course, heard about the prince's cruelty, but he didn't think that he would try it on himself. The guy apologized to him and added that he seems to have lost his sister's thing. The prince answered him that this thing is in his room. The boy began to pray to the prince, saying that this is more valuable than his personal life. The prince was very surprised by such devotion of the boy and questioned him. The prince asked if this really meant that he could die for this thing. The guy looked very exhausted. He clenched his sword in his hands and added that if he doesn't find her, his life has no meaning. The prince asked him what he would do if he did not find it. The boy continued to beg the prince to have mercy and return his lost sister to him. All of a sudden, the prince started to laugh very hard and added that he was indeed a real warrior. And he added that he really got it from some demon king who kidnaps princesses. The prince stood and laughed at the whole situation, while Killian stood and silently looked at him. But later the prince gave his permission and said that if he really wanted it, he could search for it himself, and added that he would give him 1 week. He continued by saying that this castle, this estate, he can turn everything upside down. However, if he does not find her, he will have to say goodbye to his life. Devon had the feeling that he had come to look not for his half-sister, but for his real lover. The boy walked through the rooms of the estate in an attempt to find his lost sister. He said that it was him and that he came for her. And even when he entered her room, he saw that someone was lying on her bed. The boy dared to approach. When the boy lifted the blanket, it turned out that there was no one there. It was a futile attempt by the boy to find his lost sister here, but it was clear how much he missed her. At this time, Evelyn goes about her business along the winter path. When the girl was suddenly called by Leia's name, the girl responded to him. She really shone. It seemed that she had finally found her place and was happy. A whole year has already passed since Evelyn moved to Elium. For the first few months, she was constantly worried that they might come after her. But news from other countries did not reach this snowy area, and almost no one ever came here, so the days were quite quiet. The man told her that they brought good meat today and added that he would sell it to her cheaper and asked if she would take it. The girl answered him that of course she would take it because the meat in their shop is the best. The man treated her to tea and asked how long she had been here. The girl thanked for the hot drink and said that she has been here for more than a year, and if you count by years, then almost 2. The man looked upset. He said that 2 years means that she is already 20 years old and added that the young girl grew up so quickly. He added that although she has grown up, her height has remained the same, and said that he still remembers how she came here after losing her entire family, and added that she has faced so many difficulties, but she is holding on. The man turned to her and said that he should take everything. The girl shouted that Uncle Heron is the best. He replied that he did not hear and asked her to say it louder. She said again that he is the best. The girl looked very scared, and she did not understand how this was possible. Hiding behind a tree, the girl thinks that there are rumors about Eliuna's safety, but a monster appeared in the forest. She was just trying to shorten the path because she had a lot of things. She didn't understand why. Suddenly, food spilled out of the girl's things. The girl understood that the monster could not fail to hear this. She was very frightened. The next second, the monster grabbed her with one of its tails, which frightened the girl. She looked at him and understood that she had to invent something. Otherwise, the monster would simply kill her. She was very worried that she had such a hard time getting out of the circumstances of the plot. Was she really going to die so senselessly? But she started calling for help, hoping that someone would hear her and save her. Suddenly, someone unknown instantly defeated the ugly monster with just one stroke of the sword. The girl began to fly from a height. She did not understand what was happening. Who was this mysterious savior? The guy was standing so that he would have time to catch the girl, and he even put his hands up. As the girl fell into the arms of Prince Devon, the boy turned to her and said, "Where is she?" He was glad to find her. The girl froze. She did not know how he was able to track her down, how he found her. The guy looked very angry. He turned to her asking how she could deceive him and then run away. While the girl was shocked by such oral appearance of Devon, he turned to her saying that now is not a very suitable moment to be silent and enjoy his face. The boy asked her how she felt, whether she imagined everything exactly as she imagined it. Looking at him, the girl realized that her right eye still could not be healed. Prince Devon threw the girl to the ground, and said that it was no accident that he thought it strange that she was losing consciousness so quickly, because the girl from the prophecy should not be like that. The goddess of the small sun, from whom the aroma of chamomile blows, will be able to heal him from the curse, and the boy handed the girl her magic medallion, saying that he thinks that she must be familiar with this object. Yu added that he doesn't know where she learned about what seemed to be in the prophecy, but for the first time he sees such a resourceful swindler who even used a magical item. The girl thinks in her mind that a whole year has passed and she did not think that he was looking for her all this time. Holding the girl against the wood, the boy turned to her, saying that when she decided to deceive him, she should have understood that she should be responsible for it. The girl began to draw her fragile hand to the prince. She put it on his cheek near his right eye, and she asked if his right eye could not see at all. It was clear that she was worried about him. The prince removed the girl's hand and answered that he could see but not clearly, and added by asking if she knew that she would not be able to heal him completely or if it was true. The girl answered that it was so, but even that girl from the prophecy would most likely not be able to completely remove the curse, and added that she told him that there was something in his right eye besides the curse. The boy asked if she knew how to remove it, to which the frightened girl replied that she did not know, and asked him what he was doing. The boy stroked the girl on her chubby cheeks until the girl did not understand what was happening. The boy turned to her, saying that with golden hair and blue eyes, he claimed that the butler was right. He said that she pretended to be the girl from the prophecy and deceived him without having any idea of the way to heal him. Stroking the girl on her tender lips, the guy said that there was only one thing left. Leaning closer to the girl, the prince offered her to marry him. The girl was very shocked by such a sudden proposal of the prince, so she ran away from him. Devon said that there was magic on her jewelry that allowed him to determine her location and asked her if she knew about it. Finally, the girl understood why Killian so quickly agreed to get the locket for her. But she replied to the prince that she was not hearing about it for the first time and offered to break it up. The boy asked her if these were all her things, because she would not be coming back here soon. The girl asked him what kind of nonsense he was talking about the wedding. This surprised the boy, and he decided to ask if she wanted to marry him. The girl answered in the affirmative. She looked very proud, and it seemed that nothing could shake her confidence. Devon said, "Well, if she doesn't want to, you can't do anything." But the girl was worried that he so easily accepted her answer. The boy added that only he suddenly became interested in whether she would say the same thing if she returned to the forest and sat there with her hands and feet tied. The girl was going to defend her position, saying that if he threatens her. But the next moment she was already sitting in the prince's carriage. She thought that without a bandage, he inspires even more fear. After all, it is not for nothing that the emperor's blood flows in him.